Get some balance here. You always have to have balance. All right, get some of that blinding light out of the background. So let's review. I forgot, I don't know what to put in the title. I should have just left it as updates. But the first link here is great. This is another thing by Besmenov. Not the one we've seen. The little 17-minute clip taken out of the hour and a half. This is another about an hour lecture in front of a class with a chalkboard where he talks about and demonstrates the techniques of subversion. Well now. So, I would suggest, I haven't even finished it, and it keeps popping up and has been for a couple of months, and I start it and then more things happen. But I will tell you, you get through the first 5 minutes and tell me that this guy is not right on the money, and look at what has happened in this country and the ways it's been happening. He's particularly speaking about educational institutions, and I want to finish watching it, right? Now, the second link is that guy that did the Bolshevik documentary. This is history in Spain, and this is how usury, you know about usury, where they're charging 30% to borrow money and stealing wealth. So I guess they've reduced that interest rate, but now they have amortized interest. So it goes longer. So add up the number of payments, subtract out the principal, and see how much interest, for instance, is on a mortgage. Usury was expelled in Spain. This is a fascinating little discussion. You know, peaceful demonstrations as opposed to a violent throwing out. Good morning, campers. The third link is the Defense Intelligence Agency buying phone location data without warrants. Interesting. The DIA. Wasn't our man George, the intrepid reporter, discussing that a while ago, saying that this whole thing is a military operation? Well, now, why would the DIA need to buy phone location data or data? Tomato. And the last link is a repost on the documentary on Bolsheviks. That's an excellent documentary. Now, let's review. Sorry, I digressed. We were talking about the Constitution being a living organism, and one of our campers corrected me. It's not a wall. Walls are for plants. For amoebas, you have a semi-porous membrane. You have to allow nutrients in and waste out. Okay, so I like that. So let's say our borders and our Constitution in a multidimensional consciousness is the protective barrier that contains the concept, because it's an idea. It's nothing more than an idea until it's implemented or manifested. And the genius behind it is that people will be governed with their consent, with the consent of the governed. It is not a king or a dictator saying, here's what we're going to do. Everybody is going to wear blue and things of that nature. No. The king decrees. Interesting. So, the Constitution allows us to be governed with the consent of the governed. Now, people didn't like that from day one. Certain forces and powers, and were looking to undermine and subvert it. That occurred in, say, 1776, and then in 1812. We had the War of 1812. That's when Rothschild had the king send his troops to burn down the White House. Interesting how the Bolsheviks, that are calling themselves peaceful protesters, were going to burn everything down. But they're not terrorists. Those are not the domestic terrorists. Those are the minions, the foot soldiers, the proxies of those in power seeking to take more power. An interesting point, Who said it? Bernie Sanders said that the Democrats are going to get slaughtered in the election in 2022, the next election, the midterms. I don't know. How is that going to happen if voting machines and the current procedures remain, right? This was my concern. This was everybody's concern. That, wait a minute, if you've got a system that allows for inaccurate and gamed voting, then everything's going to be a close election, but the person you want not there won. So we'll see if de Blasio stays in. We'll see if Cuomo stays in. We'll see if Newsom stays in. We'll see all of these guys. The other point was we were talking about light. And if you haven't watched the last video, got a lot of good comments in there, because that was kind of the explanation of how the previous video was supposed to be good news and happy that we discovered about the PSYOP. So I explained that in the last video, and if you haven't seen it, take a look. It's not long. And we're talking about bringing forward light and the concern of joining a large political operation that will be nothing more than identify the political dissidents who will need to be removed. And I bring you back to Besmenov. Okay? So I suggested we should take a beat, meaning a moment, and watch, right? Don't rush out and go do that. And I suggested that the only way to do it is individuals must bring the light forward of the consciousness and be light warriors. And as such, I had explained a lot of that has been hidden by the publishers. Now, what that really nets out to, and I kind of inadvertently said it the other day, is we need to be proactive instead of reactive. That proactive is the creative. That's the idea of actually going and doing something. You listen to the inner voice, you pray, you listen for guidance, you ask for guidance, and then you proceed, right? And organizing is good, but I wouldn't follow a mainstream political party that's claiming to be an upstart. I think groups and, a mass push, of course, works, but the creative individual light is proactive, not reactive. And if you notice what Biden has done is put out so many executive orders, you can't even keep up with them. So it's the blizzard, it's the snowstorm of bullshit that even people who want to challenge them can't even keep up, right? And that's the concept, information overload. I've been saying that, and everybody's been saying that. It's like, man, there's so much info. How much of it is crap? It's the snowstorm. How do you hike in a snowstorm? Slowly. Or you step out and take shelter from the storm. Oh, Bob Dylan. And so this is an interesting scenario, isn't it? At any rate, I still haven't gone through those, 17, that mysterious coincidental number on the first day. And then he's, 10 more, 15 more. This guy is just blasting him out there. So now I want to mention the concept of the 100 days. Everybody's like, the first 100 days. Does anybody know where that came from? I'm not sure, but it seems to me that we had a president, I believe it was Garfield in 1890, right around there, give or take a couple of years, right? Who was elected. There was an assassination attempt up in Niagara Falls by a guy who was what? An anarchist, probably the same operatives that they are using. Hello, Scotty. Beam me up, right? Operatives that they're using today. And this was Garfield, I believe. And he was shot. He wasn't killed, but he was wounded. He suffered. He was sick. And he died on the 100th day. So technically he was assassinated. And is that why somebody came up with the clever idea, what does he get done in the first 100 days? Is that like a veiled threat that you have 100 days, or let's see if you can live the 100 days? Just thinking, campers. I don't know. Our friend Cindy Sue said a while ago, either in a comment or an email, she said that Biden is probably going to, fall down the stairs or have a stroke or something. Who knows when? I don't know. You think he's going to make it 100 days? Do tell. We'll see. Maybe that's why he's in such a rush to get all these idiotic executive orders out. And then he's served his purpose. Or that'll ensure he doesn't get terminated in his first 100 days. I don't know. Interesting point. I listened a little bit. I didn't put the link in. What's his name? Joshua Phillip on Crossroads. Listened to it a little bit last night. And he was talking, and I didn't know this. I need to watch his show. And by the way, what happened to Ann Vandersteel? I was looking for her. They didn't take her channel down. Maybe they blocked it so she can't upload. I know they did that to me for a while. I'm not sure. At any rate, Joshua's still up. And is it Joshua? Yeah, I think it is. Anyway, the bottom line is, he was talking about China, and that they made a law in China allowing their Coast Guard to fire military firepower on, what shall we call them, intruders. Now, that's a pretty radical, aggressive step, and it just happened. So they're testing him, according to Joshua. They're testing Biden. Let's see how Biden reacts, okay? So that means they're going to fire on our Navy ships. They want to start a shooting war out there in the South China Sea and all of that. Now, you remember a while ago, not that long, 3 weeks, I put an article up talking about Australia. Hi, Australia. And Black Mamba. Let's see. That the U.S. had approved, what was it? Was it bombers or supersonic missiles or something in order to deal with China? Oh, no, it was anti-ship missiles. So as long as we keep that war pattern going up, but we'll see. So according to Joshua last night, what he was saying is the way Trump would deal with it was he would either penalize them monetarily, slap tariffs on, restrict trade and their ability to dump their products and goods made by our companies over there to ship back here, to use us as their garbage can because we're consumers. And I remind you, with Reagan, we were all citizens when he took office, and by the time he left, we were consumers. They don't refer to citizens anymore. How did that happen? We were also the largest creditor nation in the world in, say, 1980. By 1988, we were the largest debtor nation in the world. How did that happen? Is that called fiscal responsibility, which is one of the columns of the Republican mantra? Fiscal responsibility, states' rights, and individual liberties. Okay. All right. And the Patriot Act did what to those individual liberties? And that was Republican, bushy boy. And states' rights, as I've said repeatedly, got thrown out the window with the Terry Schiavo case in Florida, where the husband had the wife who was a vegetable. She was in vegetative state for 10 years. He wanted to remove life support. He litigated, went all the way up to the Florida state Supreme Court, and they said, yes, sir, you have the right to terminate life support, pull the plug, colloquially speaking, right? So what happens? Oh no, they had to do it again. So twice it went up and down, twice, both times, same result. So that's the final decision, right? So Bush, with his state rights mantra, and the Republican Congress, and what was his name? The Hammer, the guy out of Texas. They convened Congress, and it literally was an act of Congress, and Bush was there, and he signs it into law requiring a review by a federal court to try and federalize it, okay, before this guy can pull the plug on his vegetative wife who has been on life support for 10 years. Well, cleverly, literally an act of Congress, so much for your states' rights. And the act of Congress, the clever judge decided he's not hearing the case. He refused to hear it. He didn't make a ruling. I said, I'm not hearing it. Good. So I believe, and I don't even know, I mean, it fell out of the media, right? Because we had to do it, but I believe that he disconnected life support. Okay, my question is always the smart ass: who was paying for the cost of that life support the whole time? Was it him? Was it the insurance company? Or was the hospital doing it on the cuff? You tell me. Uh-huh. All right, so that's that. We kind of went down that trail a little bit. We were talking about states' rights, debtor nation, Republicans. What was the first one, though? Oh, citizens versus consumers. Mm. Because the consumer wants, and that's why they dump their stuff on China. So anyway, that's what Trump would have done, according to Joshua. And he would restrict, he would tariff, he would penalize, whatever, and then economic sanctions. But he would also build relations with kind of defensive countries around there. Let's see what Bidenberg does, okay? Like, I'm thinking of the Brandenburg concertos. Yeah, Bidenberg. Yeah, so, and somebody made a comment, and I think this goes back to Monkey Works last week when I was ranting. And who the hell said it? I don't want to misattribute this, but somebody said that maybe Biden would surrender to the Chinese because they remember there was going to be a Chinese attack. Uh-huh. And how do you surrender if you're not at war? What does that mean? I don't see it, but okay. Let's get more hysterical and spin it. Okay. So back to the radiating light is the concept of proactive versus reactive, right? So they're throwing out enough shit where we have to react to it because it's so outrageous and, shall we say, such an irritant to every layer. It's keeping everybody so distracted, right? Looks like we're getting max headroom. Hang on a second. That, you have to react to it. But that means they're calling the shots. And who was that quote? Was it Karl Rove or was it Rumsfeld? A discussion with our engineering department the other day. And it said the administration official, this is under Bush 1 or 2 rather, said, we take action. We make the news. You people report the news and we continue taking action. Well, that's an interesting concept. Isn't that proactive? And don't we, the people, need to be proactive? So anything that discourages that or placates that or pacifies that desire to be proactive is clearly not in the best interest of we, the people. But there was a glimpse of the IQ shades. All right, I'll throw this one by you. Here's a little food for thought. Let's talk about the foreign interference on the election. I spoke to Karen with an I, and she came up with a brilliant idea. Evidently, in August of 2020, there was a reward put out by the State Department, and there's layers of DOJ, of people to pay this out. How do you collect it? How do you find out if it was paid? But the reward spoker looking for, the poster for Billy the Kid saying, wanted, reward, Billy, said, anybody who can prove that there was foreign interference with the election will receive a reward of $10 million. I believe that was the number. That's a nice chunk of change. So the question is, did anybody receive that award? Now, she had been looking into it. I don't know that we have an answer. And I said, okay, so if they paid that reward, that means somebody proved that there was foreign interference with the election. Think about that. Think about that. That means that the government, the DOJ, and the State Department have satisfied that they have been proved that foreign interference was there, and they paid $10 million to do it. So where did that information go? Who's supposed to prosecute it? But if it was done, does that allow the citizens to bring an action? I don't know. Then there's another thought here that I just had a moment before the show. That is the idea that I think it's using RICO. I forgot what it is, but I'll remember. there's a lot going on, and I'm going to have to jump in and give more to you later. Looks like we're going to have multiple streams today. Anyway, definitely take a listen for the first 5 minutes at this Besmenov. Grab a cup of coffee, glass of wine, glass of nice, fresh, filtered water, and check this out. And then the one on Spain is only 18 minutes long. You might enjoy that. I don't know. We'll see how long this guy's channel stays up. It's pretty brutal. Yep. Tangent there. Wild. Wild tangent. Isn't that a Corsi called George Webb? So you liked the name and grabbed it? Or is it the accuracy of the focus in a conversation? A wild tangent. Never hit the target. Go everywhere but. Okay, interesting. So there you go. Michigan is still in play. And let's assume they established that the election was improper. What's going to happen? You're going to say, okay, we're changing it, Biden out, Trump back in. Are you kidding? Both is the answer. Okay, good answer. All right, so there's a lot going out. FJ needs to play Susie Homemaker. Mother is doing much better. She's driving little trips in the car, little shopping runs. She's going to physical therapy. So this is looking good. Now we have to strengthen muscles because, you know, the, what do we call that? The sedentary thing is good. Now, I've been walking Piglet, and I'm enjoying that long walk. The morning walk is a 3-step and a sniff-sniff. The afternoon walk is I walk, no leash. He does his sniff-sniff. He either keeps up with me or I walk, and then he charges up. And we're always on patrol for the birds. And if you haven't seen the birds, zoom back, and there's a video back there. That was pretty good. He actually spotted them the other day. But he's getting a haircut today, so maybe we'll bring him on with his handsome new haircut later. So got a lot going on over here. And I don't even want to show you the papers that I still have to go through. It's like I always feel like I'm playing catch-up, and it's infuriating, all right? And but that's an interesting thought. If the reward was paid, do we care who got it? But do we care what information was given? And what do we do with it, right? Just saying. Additionally, I have to grab all of that excellent research that Ms. Shannon did on the whole vaccine, in quotes, and the whole virus and all of the, what should we call it? The injectables. There you go. And put that up for you. I've got to go through it. That has the patent apps and everything else. And also, I showed that link. I sent it to my mom from David Martin. That was the first one where he goes over how it's not a vaccine. And that was a few days ago. And she got through the first half and fell asleep. I said, well, the second half is the best part. If you haven't seen it, you've got to watch it because the second half is the best part. I said, well, what'd you think? She said, well, it's hard to argue against him. I said, yeah, it is. I can't. So that's encouraging because there's a lot of people down here that are looking to go grab that vaccine, boy. And there's a lot of info showing the injuries, or and again, what are they calling it? What was their word? Vaccine-related injury, adverse health effect. Ah, yes, an adverse health effect. By their definition, says unable to do normal activities in life and unable to work. That's pretty debilitating. They don't call it a debilitating health effect. It's an adverse health effect. Huh. Remember? 115,000 were put out in the first day, and 3,500 roughly adverse health effects. And Hello Dolly sent me a link to a guy doing a video on it, but I need that document of the FDA report because this was out of December. I think that's when that stuff came out, right? So I don't know. This guy's got numbers and it's real small and you can't see it. So it's like, dude, if you don't put the link into the information that you're telling us about, it's bullshit. Yeah. I'll tell you, here's the report and it says this, 12 billion, blah, blah, blah. But the report doesn't say that, but I'm not giving you the report. You should believe me. You believe me or your lying eyes, right? It's raining out. Okay, enough. Anyway, I appreciate the excellent comments, and that was intended to be uplifting. A lot of people thought it was light. There are still people howling about Q. That operation is continuing, and if you're going to howl about Q, you're part of the problem, because where's your proactive, what are we going to do? We need to come up with it. But I will think people will have more time to digest that and then say, okay, what are we going to do? But don't forget, the operation of the Bolsheviks, Operation Truth, went on for 6 years, right? 1921 to, or 5 years, through 26. How long did this thing go on? It officially started, right, in November of 16, was it, or 17? I don't recall. It was like 3.5 years. No, it couldn't have been 16. It was in 17. In November, during the Bolshevik Revolution reunion. Another coincidence. But listen to that documentary, both on the Bolsheviks and the other guy talking about it. He also mentions a lot of people and points out how they were wrong. And somebody made the point, and I got to share this because it raised a question in my mind, that Flynn, who was announcing that Trump will stay in the White House and Biden will never be sworn in, was completely wrong. He got sworn in. Now people could say, "Well, this is fake," and yeah, no. Let's go with the reality. He got sworn in. He's signing executive orders, blank or not. They're being filled in later, right? That's even better. Sign a blank check, but give it to me, right? So the thing is, how come Flynn didn't know, or did he? That raises a question. So is he delusional, or is he lying, or he believed it? But people are saying, "Oh, he knows, 100 times more than we do." Okay, then why would he say that? I don't know. That is a serious concern. Now, I spoke with Webby, and I said, "What's the deal?" He said, "Well, Flynn was brought up the ranks by Petraeus. So was McChrystal. And that Petraeus and McChrystal, that Flynn and McChrystal are very loyal to Petraeus. And that Petraeus has an interest with Soros in the actual internet company in Serbia." Interesting. Very interesting. I don't know. I got to get him on, or at least get more dialogue. But he's a dangerous person to have for purposes of the YouTube censorship, isn't he? And we also said that there's an article, and I said this to Lynn, right? That there was an article in CD Media, I believe, that said during that break-in at the White House, there were people speaking Russian. They could be Ukrainians, because many Ukrainians speak Russian. So this is very interesting. So let me make sure that internet company was Serbia, or was it in Ukraine? Interesting. I don't know. But Petraeus has an interest in it? Huh. With Soros? Bergie? What can you tell us? The puzzle pieces are just unbelievable. All right, that's what I've got for you, campers. Yeah, CD Media has interesting background. Yeah, if you've got that link, Scotty, can you slap that in the comments and I'll put it up. I also got an email from Petra. She was trying to put comments in on the one where I thanked Petra and did the shout out. She even took a screenshot, but they didn't show here. I looked in the spam folder. They weren't there, so I don't know. WTF. She's in the UK. Maybe the filter's over there, so not good, right? And then, of course, there are some people that forgot the rules, and the rules are heated debate is great. Personal attacks, name-calling, and abusive discussion, dialogue, or content, right, will be removed, and those abusive people will be weeded from the garden, okay? So some weeding has been done, and those people who are all abusive because they can't, shall we say, present a cogent argument, and just have to get nasty because they do nothing other than jip around on people's channels and get nasty. Okay, go to somebody else's channel and have a nice day, as Stephen King says in New York. All right, campers, thank you very much. I've got to get in with the patrons over there. I've got a lot of catch up to do for a change. And I thank you for your support and the other campers for their support. So I'm putting in the PayPal link and the Patreon account. And if you become a member, you know, for whatever you like, it helps keep the boat afloat. And the PayPal link is for a direct shot to FJ, and that's great. And if you do send something in PayPal, please put in a comment. And again, it doesn't matter, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. All of these numbers add up, and they help, right? And it's amazing, you know, you get 2,000, 3,000 views. If everybody put $1 in, it changes the month, doesn't it? But they don't. Why? They don't love FJ. They do, but I'm confused. Wait, I'm having a blonde moment. I'm confused. All right, guys. I'll see you later. Yep. Catherine Abbott with an I. I agree. The CIA is Q spreading disinformation. That's my opinion as well. What's this? Okay, Maureen, thanks for sharing that. So let's see. It's another thing. It's live. Watch the documentary on Besmenov. This is a lecture by him who was a real deal. And he changed his name. I think it's Schumann, Shuman. Now he's American. In case anybody didn't believe that people change their names to hide their true identity. And then watch the history in Spain, expelling usury. Those are my words for purposes of AI. That's not his words. He's a little more, shall we say, aggressive, articulate, accurate. Good. There's Jacqueline. All right. Yes, Mom's doing much better. She's very good. We're all moving in the right direction. Everybody needs to continue exercising. Did you take your walk? Did anybody climb up their mountain? You know what I mean? Must exercise. Fresh air, walking, look in the distance. Takes the mind away from this crap. I played a lot of music yesterday. I finished Corey's second course, a lot of material. So I actually bought, because they print out the sheets, the little tabs for the loose leaf binder. So you have the colors, right? Red, blue, yellow, whatever. So this way, for the different stuff that I've saved, I can keep it by person. I might need 2 binders. Not that there's that much, but there's that many different people. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate your support. God bless. Godspeed. Be vigilant. That's very important. Keep your eyes open. Angels walk amongst us. Keep your eyes open. We'll see you later. Bye for now. Are you there, Denise? Later for, yes, riffs next. Chords and scales. Pentatonics, majors and minors. All right, I'll see you all later. Thank you, campers. FJ out. Links. Links, links, links. Watch the first 5 minutes on Besmenov and then Usury in Spain. That's an 18-minute clip. You'll be curious how people have an intent to undermine societies. They do connect, don't they? Bye for now.